Being a good designer for resin 3D printing isn't about how detailed and complex your models are. It's about how good you are at simplifying and breaking up complex shapes into more manageable, logical parts that can be printed without needing crazy amounts of supports. People make it seem like you can just design something without worrying about how to print it and just throw it in the slicing software, click a few buttons to add supports and print. But that almost always leads to subpar results. Not only does it waste a lot of resin printing all those supports, but it basically always results in warped parts and unnecessary cleanup. Now, there are times that you don't have a choice and have to compromise somewhere, but I see so many designs on the internet where the creator clearly didn't think about the printing process while designing, and that leads to a lot of frustration when people try to print their designs. And I don't want to just pump out more models like that. Although my designs might not be perfect, my goal is to design models that eliminate that frustration and headache, and that are actually fun to print, paint and assemble. So in this video I want to share some design choices I made on this house, and I'll show you some things to avoid when printing your own stuff, so you can get the best results when printing, whether it's this house or something else. Let's get started. When designing buildings, you can make the walls separate so they can be printed laying flat on the print bed, or you can do what I did and print them standing. Let's take the floor plan for example. There's a few good reasons why I don't print it laying flat. So printing parts standing up takes like 20 times longer compared to laying flat, but here's why it's worth it for me. I don't want to have to put on gloves every 20 minutes to remove a single part from the print bed. I would rather fit as many parts as possible on the print bed and do the messy work in a single time for all the parts. Also, printing parts laying flat will result in warping. Here's why. All printers cure the first layer, the initial layers, for much longer than the rest of the layers to ensure good bed adhesion. But when you remove the part and post-cure it to remove the stickiness, the side that was connected to the print bed had like 40 seconds exposure to UV light, and the rest of the model only had like 3 to 4 seconds of UV light exposure. And basically all resin suffers from a small amount of shrinkage as it cures. So when you post-cure the part, the model shrinks unevenly and your part warps. Another thing to consider is if your FEP film has a few dents or minor damage, it's gonna be visible on flat surfaces. And detail is worse laying flat, since you're using the layer height for vertical resolution and not the resolution of the LCD screen. I also just don't like gluing wall parts together and having noticeable seam lines where the walls connect. So by printing the parts like this, I avoid all those problems, but it's not perfect. Like this, I have to add support for windows and door overhangs, and the print time is much longer, so if you don't have reliable electricity, it could be a problem. But for me, the main advantage is not having to do the messy work of removing the parts nearly as often. Let's talk about the files and geometry itself. This is gonna get a bit nerdy, but I just want to mention a few things. Firstly, for 3D printing, it's generally recommended to make all the parts a single perfectly watertight model. And yes, it must be watertight, there can't be any holes in the mesh, but the model can absolutely be made up of separate intersecting watertight meshes. Basically all modern slicing software can handle it. So while some people say it's more professional to join all the separate intersecting meshes into a single watertight mesh, I don't think it's necessarily better for the end user. Firstly, if it's all a single mesh, you can forget about making any edits. And if you don't join it all together like this, it allows for much more freedom in being able to select and edit separate parts of the model. All slicers handle generating support slightly differently, and I don't like the limited amount of control you have in slicing softwares, so I add all my supports using Blender. Let's talk about the resin. For a long time I only used standard resin from Creality, but I recently also played around with Anycubic ABS-like resin, and it's significantly less brittle, but if you don't paint it directly after printing, it's gonna warp like crazy. Other than that, I'm not an expert when it comes to different resins. Let me know if this video was a bit too nerdy or if I should make more videos like this. If you want to see how I paint and assemble it, click this video. But yeah, I can't think of anything more to add right now. I just wanted to share a bit about why and how I design my buildings like this. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.